What's up, people? It's
What's
Chris Angel
up?
and Aaron Hendon coming at you
What's
for another episode
happening?
of The Mindful CEO. Hello. Hey,
Hello.
we are peeking into the beyond today. We were looking at an article Aaron found, but
Oh, no, no, you can't just say it's an
on,
article I found.
on Substack. Okay,
Yes.
how would you, oh, it was a deep Substack Aaron found over as he was making his playlist. Wait, what did you
As I
say?
was, yes. Well,
Which,
I just think, I am all about having Substack be the new DJ, right? Like, have you checked out my DJ set down at the bar? Have you seen my Substack? It's definitely got some cred to it. There's some
yeah, man.
Portlandia.
Yeah.
Have you seen my Substack?
That's right. That's right. Portlandia. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's a whole vibe to my Substack. So I was working on my Substack
That's
and
right. Just you just got to drop it into the conversation.
that's
Yeah.
right. Oh, my Substack. Yeah. Um,
Yeah. One of my readers the other day on my Substack
was
commented.
commenting, one of my subscribers. Um,
I
yeah,
love that.
but you should
We
check
should
out
set
my
this
Substack.
up. We
All right.
set this
So,
up first?
so yeah, I literally was on my Substack and I was, one of my interest range from, it definitely includes Buddhism. And I found this article about willpower, which I'm always interested in. And it turned into an article really about manifestation, which I suspect that the author would argue with me about that. I don't know, right? I have not yet. It's heavy. The article's dense. We'll probably wind up sharing pieces of it. Um, we'll put the link to it in the chat. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, in the show
in
notes.
the show
Absolutely.
notes for sure. It's a you don't have to subscribe to their Substack to get it. It's one of their free articles, and uh, so I haven't fully parsed their take on it. I've been more engaged with what my interest is in those kinds of things and reading it from that perspective.
Yeah.
And one of the things, so in looking at that, uh, I've been there's this whole thing about manifestation, which we have been going back and forth about in the mastermind
Yeah.
about because I've been thinking and I thought, oh, we should do a mindful manifestation course, or just seems like uh, occurred for me like a direction to take the mindfulness work that I've done with How to Live a Grateful Life in a Fucked Up World and use it. I mean, really, honestly, um, the impetus, the
Yeah.
seed thought to living a grateful life is wrapped around um, Esther Hicks and mindful and manifestation anyway. That if you vibrate at the frequency of gratitude, you will get more things to be grateful for. I mean, I
Right.
say that specifically in the book, but that's the Joe Dispenza, the Esther Hicks of it. Although Esther calls it appreciation and not gratitude. There's a whole
Yeah.
argument we could have. I'm not arguing with Abraham, but nonetheless, there's
Yeah.
a parsing of those words of the definitions. Um, at any rate, the beginning of this was really like, oh, if I vibrated more at gratitude, I would get more things to be grateful for. And just sort of a generalization of that, right? And then got more interested in how do we have gratitude in this fucked up world.
Right.
And now that I feel grounded in that, I started thinking about doing a manifestation course. So I'm always listening for that and looking at that. And we've been arguing it, hashing it out in the
Yeah.
mastermind, as the mastermind will do, provides a clearing. If you're interested in the mastermind, let us know. It's really just this is a one-way conversation.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
a back and forth, live back and forth about how I handle things, how one could handle anything you're interested in. Anyway, we were talking about manifestation. And so this article came on and it brings up some really interesting points about both from a Buddhist philosophical perspective of the mind, which is frankly too complicated for me to, it would, it, it would take me a while to get to the point where I got it for myself, and then even further, more time for me to get it to the point where I could talk about it.
Yeah. Um, yeah. And
But there were
well
parts
written.
of
I
it
thought it
that,
was, yeah,
yeah, there
it
were
was
parts of it that
beautiful.
were like, oh yeah, this I can get my head around,
Yeah.
and this resonates with work I've already done, and I can
Yeah.
hear this in, I can hear something of utility to me,
Yeah.
uh, and what I'm concerned for in this that resonates, I think, with both things. I don't think I'm misinterpreting what's said. I think I'm cherry picking what's said to find what's of use to me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and that's what
Let,
we wanted to talk about today is those that different reality. How's that
yeah.
for
I want to
starting?
just, yeah, I just want to add in a couple things for me that ground me into the conversation and that article. But so sometimes, and this is very much the tension of mindfulness and CEO-ness, which is, um, sometimes I feel like the conversation of gratitude and mindfulness or manifestation is, well, you just like have a wish and then allow all the ingredients of the earth to bring it to you, and it leaves me not feeling in a position of agency or action. I feel like I'm supposed to sit here and wait for stuff.
Yeah.
And the challenge with that for me personally is that I often feel like, am I, um, but I feel like I'm supposed to not have action towards something that I want. Like and it leaves me confused. Like I kind of go, how do I do this? How many minutes am I supposed to meditate? Or how long is the gap between the wish that the ask that I gave and when it shows up? Like, am I just supposed to wait my whole life? I cannot reconcile waiting my
Mm,
whole life. And I'm like, I see something I want to go make it. I'm gonna build it. And so then but that can start to feel like hustle culture. It can start to feel like I'm building out of the energy of allowing and manifesting. And so, and this came up in our mastermind last week. So I think the article that we're going to discuss here does a good job of speaking to some of that, because I think there's a both and here. It's not either or. There's
yeah.
definitely a, so maybe that's enough
Yeah,
of
that's
me to
good.
set that up.
All right, good. I think that's good. So I'm gonna share screen. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll be able to see it. I'm just sharing it for Chris and I. If you're listening to this, don't worry about it. We're gonna talk through it. I'm just sharing it because it's nascent for both Chris and I to think about it this particular way, and we're using this as a framework. So you're always, as always, you are listening to two people hashing out something they think is interesting that we hope is interesting to you. I'm just using this as a
That's right.
guide. This article is a guide. You don't need to be reading it, although you certainly can. And we've, like I said, we're going to put it in the chat. I mean, in the notes. Um,
By the way, shout out to Arwin99 at Substack, whose article that's whose Substack this is.
is it?
That's what it says in the URL. It says
Uh,
arwin99.substack.com.
okay, Arwen. Let's go,
What's up,
Arwen. Yeah.
Arwin?
And the Substack, I think, is called Buddhist Philosophy, is
Okay,
the name of it.
got it. There you go.
Anyway, um, so we don't know, they. Um, they get into manifestation in this article, and that's always a word that, like, oh, I have a flag for that word, right? Um, Talking about the two different ways that the mind can be used, or the mind it, in this particular philosophy, in this particular cut at Buddhism, uh, or dissection of the human mind. There's two ways the mind is operating.
Yeah,
Takes a while in the article to get to this part, but this is the part we're cherry picking out.
yeah,
Um, so it says, uh, you know, most people who talk about manifestation or similar ideas go badly wrong. There are two completely different mental operations that most of us have never learned to distinguish because no one ever taught us. So there's two different mental operations happening.
Yeah.
The first is rational cognition, logic, calculation, inference, weighting probabilities, considering obstacles, mapping the distance between where you are and where you want to be. This mode of
This
mi-
is, go ahead.
this mode of mind is essential. It's not the enemy. So in what you were just saying about
Yeah.
trying to figure shit out
Right.
feels like the enemy sometimes when we're
Yeah.
talking about manifesting. It feels like don't do that. Like just chill,
Right.
just go ahead, right? Like
Right.
that
And it's
world.
very much the way in our with my CEO hat
Yes.
on, I'm trying to produce a result through that kind of cognition, logic, calculation, planning, strategy, measuring, KPIs. This is cognition, this is rational cognition. This is what it's talking
Yes,
about.
exactly. So it's essential, not the enemy, which is great
That is
uh,
great. Yeah.
um, validation, right? It's
Yeah.
great to
Yeah.
hear that. Like, okay, like we can balance these things. Then the second is what I will call intentional force. Uh, Desire in its purest form, not wanting because it makes sense, but a direct felt orientation of the whole self towards something, wanting that precedes justification. For Chris, you were talking about this earlier. Where I have a, um, I don't like force in that sentence. I wouldn't
Yeah.
use desire in its purest form works. The call to make art works, right?
Yeah.
That cathedral that you're building, that it just precedes justification. Okay. And what they go on to say here is these two feel almost identical from the inside, which is the entire problem. Now, I don't think those feel intentional, but that could just be because you and I have been engaged in this for
Mm,
15 years.
sure. Yeah.
And, we're not guys in the diner about this. So I don't know. People can let us know if those two things. They don't feel identical, but I also don't have any power in distinguishing which is the more appropriate. It's that tension, the dance between the two. I'm not yet facile, and maybe yet's not even the right word, but I'm not facile with
Yeah.
balancing those two, leaning on one, not the like. Yeah, facile is the right word there. With those two, they don't feel the same to me though. Um,
Yeah. There is a and there's a little bit of like to your point about facile, like I'm the whole reason we're having this conversation is because there's something I can if I could see in this for myself that there's it came up in the mastermind last week, which was, you know, I don't want to sit here and just wait forever. If as an artist, if I'm being an artist, that was sort of my inroad to this
mhm.
conversation. An artist isn't waiting for permission to create their art. An artist is not trying to figure out and measure their art. They're just exerting their will. They're forcing their creation on a canvas, a medium of something.
Mhm.
I will create it. I don't need your permission to do it. It's just pure creation.
Yes.
And that is manifestation. Like there is an energy around that is a form of manifestation that is not what I find in the law of attraction conversation. Because that conversation, I feel like I'm trying to figure out. But in the context of art, I'm like, oh, I get it. I don't need to figure this out. I just need to sit with what it is I feel that I want to create and create it. Oh, by the way, sorry, this is a big linchpin to the conversation, I think, which you and I didn't talk about. But I think the biggest thing that shakes me out of the artist cognition, the intentional forces, he calls it in the article, that shakes me out of that and puts me in the measuring logical cognition is one question. And the question is, um, will this work? Can I make money at this? The minute I ask that question, it ceases to be art for me. And now I'm back to logic and measuring.
Right. So it's not even that they feel identical, it's that you can't flip from one to the other at will.
Right.
It's not
Yeah.
that they feel identical, it's that we don't have any facility in it with our mind to
Yeah.
distinguish which is the more appropriate one for this moment. What's
Right. Again,
called
because
for,
yeah, good.
right?
Because
Am I
both
saying
are
that?
okay. Because both are good.
Both are necessary,
Yeah.
right? Um,
Right. That's
Now
yeah.
for anyone for whom they might, the examples here I think are useful. If fear presents itself as a logical assessment, I can definitely resonate with that.
Yeah. That's in the
I have
article.
this huge, I'm immensely worried about the future of the planet,
Hmm.
the economy, what passes for an economy,
Yeah.
with doubling, tripling of oil prices is, and what is going to happen as an outcome of this war in Iran. I'm like, there's a fear, and it feels like a logical assessment. I'm sorry, there is
Yeah.
so they do feel identical.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that fear, and I don't know that they feel identical as much as they are collapsed.
Mm-hmm.
They are show up at the same time. My
Right.
assessment and the emotion shows up collapsed, like this one thing.
Right.
Now he's saying they feel identical, which is fine. I think it's, I th I would prefer to say they're collapsed because if I can separate them, they don't feel identical.
Right.
But fine,
Right.
okay.
Yeah. That's
A
good. I like that.
craving will present itself as a reasoned preference. I deserve a little treat.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
if I pass a cheese Danish, a Danish, I'm a whore for a Danish or
Yeah.
Stalt bagel. It's like, no, that's a craving, but
Right.
I deserve it is my reasoned preference for that,
Mm.
right? This is the article again. Most people spend their entire lives arguing with these disguised emotions as though they were arguments, which is like trying to debate a fever,
Mm.
which I love
It's great. Yeah.
as a metaphor, right? But that is like I'm going to debate the craving as a preference versus just being with the craving as a craving,
Yeah.
right? It's not
Yeah.
an argument. It's a craving. It's an
Yeah.
emotion. It's a, intentional force demanding that I have ice cream. It's not got nothing. You can't argue with a fucking craving.
Right.
It's a craving. It exists in and of itself as a craving, pure intentional force that I use to manifest
Mm.
an ice cream sandwich at this juncture. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the two minds, right? So then the practice, and I'm back to the article for those of you listening. The practice, and it is a practice, not an insight, which I is to sit quietly and learn to feel the difference, not to read about it or not to sit here on this podcast and listen to me talk about it, to
Hmm.
actually sit, settle the mind, and begin noticing what is pushing from behind each thought.
Mm.
Is it a fact or is it a feeling wearing a suit? So that whole paragraph now makes real good sense to me. And I talk about this all the time in my writing on my Substack. I talk about this all the time that you you're going to get a direction from reading something. You're going to get a direction from listening to us. You'll get a direction from that. But nothing is going to happen. You have to sit with it.
Mm.
You actually have to sit. You have to slow down, stop listening to me, turn this off. And
Yeah, and this is where you can uncollapse it. I think if you sit,
yes.
then it gets uncollapsed. Then I don't feel the same because you can actually sense, is it a fact pushing from behind the thought, or is it a feeling wearing? Is it a feeling? Is it intentional force? Is it
Well, if you
these are
want to
different?
get,
Go
this is
ahead.
what Kahneman talks about, like how you
Mm,
defeat your biases
mm,
is you slow down.
yeah,
That's 100,
yeah,
that's the only access we have is to slow down,
yeah, yeah,
is to
yeah.
get into system two.
Mm,
We're just driven by system one,
yeah,
unless we are not, and we are not going to make that leap without
yeah,
slowing down. This takes time. Back to the article. This takes time and repetition. The modern world offers almost nothing that develops this capacity. It's not even the modern world, human being, the machine. Most of what passes for mindfulness in secular context does not go nearly this far. Okay, again, it's fine. That's my work, but don't come after my work here, buddy. Um, then it gets into the utility aspect. Once you can clearly distinguish the two, you can use them separately and deliberately. Rational cognition for analysis and planning, intentional force, pure and undiluted ca by calculation for the act of wishing itself. When you train the wish, you do not analyze it, or for you, art in this case, Chris. You inhabit it. You let it be the only thing present. You rest in it completely with the felt certainty that the one who is wishing and the thing being wished for are not two separate things across a gap, but one continuous reality. This sounds abstract. It's actually very concrete when you do it. And that's how it is when I'm writing or, when I was making photographs in college. Bread baking is like that for me. You know, we talk about devotion all the time, being giving yourself fully to something. Uh,
Yeah,
yes,
keep reading that. It sounds abstract. It's actually very concrete when you do it. The gap feeling, the sense that what you want is over there and you're over here is the thing to dissolve. I think that's when I think about like my vision of 1 million members and conscious businesses or any of the things that I'm wanting to create in my lifetime for this world. My cathedrals, which is how you and I talk about it, most of my cognition is the first type of cognition. It's measuring, it's logic, it's strategy. How am I going to do it? And that I'm not very facile with that either because I kind of feel like a lot of that is out of my control. But I do feel facile with when I'm in the presence of my vision and I'm sitting in it. I really like the way they described it. Like you got to sit in it, rest in it completely with the felt certainty that the one who is wishing and the thing being wished for are not two separate things across a gap, but one continuous. I feel that just like you feel bread. I sit in what my vision is, and I go, "This is true. It's just true.
yes.
It's not a wish. It just is going to happen. It just,
Well, it's happening now. I mean,
yeah,
so I can just begin to take apart the two different worlds there. So I say it's happening now, and the rational mind or whatever that
mm, yeah,
the
yeah,
rational cognition
yeah,
jumps the fuck in and goes, it's
yeah,
not happening now,
yeah, yeah,
right? It's not happening now. Where's the evidence? It's not,
yeah,
it just jumps right back in. So this is an interesting
mm,
sentence here too. The gap is the artifact of the cut the brain makes between objective and subjective. When the cut heals, even temporarily, something shifts.
mm,
So when you close that, when you actually feel it's happening with the, but I can feel the rational mind coming in and cutting.
yeah,
But that's
right,
a function of sitting and noticing the two different
yeah,
phenomena,
yep,
right? You can't
yeah,
mostly, so that the assertion they're making that that's want, that is valid in that, right? When intentional force reaches sufficient intensity and clarity, the world begins to respond, not through magic and not in defiance of causality, through causality. The thousand small conditions that were always present but inert begin to organize. Doors that were always there become visible. People appear who would carry pieces of what you needed. Timing shifts. This is not supernatural. It's the natural consequence of having actually committed to something at a deeper level, at a level deeper than the thinking mind. Well, that's, you know, F. Scott Murray, right? Committing has magic in it.
mm,
The mountains will move. I don't know
yeah, yeah,
right the the thing
yep.
to Everest. What, oh my God, the word escapes me. The expedition to Mount Everest. I'm pretty sure that's F. Scott Murray. Is that,
Okay.
don't okay me. Don't you
Okay. I mean, if
fucking
you say
okay
so,
me.
Aaron, if you say so,
Hang
I don't know
on.
what
No,
you're
I'm
trying to
looking
say.
this up now. Don't fucking okay
You should
me.
write about it on your Substack.
I'm gonna fuck you up.
Next article, tune in for whatever he's trying to say about Everest.
Let me just see if that's right. W.H. Murray.
There you go.
Until one is committed, there's hesitancy.
Uh,
Whatever you can do,
oh,
dream.
Yeah, I
Dream,
get it
whatever
now.
you can do or dream, you can begin it. Boldness is power, genius, and magic to it. Okay, good. Hang on.
You
This,
just said the name wrong. If you had said the name right, I would have understood what you're trying to
yes.
say.
I gotta just see if there's anything to do with Mount Everest. Uh, yes, the Himalaya. Yes, that's there's more to the quote than that, and it's describing how commitment set their Everest expedition in motion. So
Mm, mm.
fuck you, W.H. Murray,
I
not
don't,
F. Scott Fitzgerald.
yeah, yeah. And if you go back in history, I'm not sure that any sort of um, thing that gets created, I'll say out of thin air, didn't start that way. I mean,
That's right.
you want to think about democracy. There was a thought, and people said, "Let's have a conversation of what this could look like apart from the crown."
Right.
And there, maybe there was some logical thinking and some strategy, but in a lot of ways, there is an intentional force, to use Arwin 99's phrase, about how we create stuff. You want to,
Mhm.
and this is the part that frustrates me because part of my, the premise of my work is leaders leading. But so many of us who could be the leaders I'm speaking of use way too much uh, logical cognition to justify why they can't start. I'm like, no, you starting your important work doesn't come from you measuring whether you can pull it off. It is unlikely that logically you can pull this off. It is the sheer intentional force of your art and your will that moves things in the world. And you
Mhm.
can't wait for all the lights to be green to start. You got to find the minimum viable something, seed, to feeling, thing to move you forward. And
Yeah.
and then in that, like it says in the article that you just read, like the pieces start to gather, the doors start to that have always been there start to become visible. But too
Yeah.
many of us that have cathedrals to build are sort of waiting from the logic standpoint for things to make it easy. And then you don't create from that. It doesn't start there. That's not the genesis of something new.
Right.
Anyway, okay.
All right. Well, I got just a quick
Well,
tangent
go
here.
check my Substack because that
Do
was,
not fuck with
that was
you.
a
Do not.
rant.
I will not let you have a Substack. Um, uh, I just noticed this has nothing to do with anything we're talking about. This is a complete tangent,
Maybe.
but that uh, my arrogance or my bias, right? It occurred to me while we were reading this, and you said Arwin 99 again. I said, oh, that's the daughter of Elrond in Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
Yes,
nice.
so
Cool.
that Arwen is as likely, if not more likely, to be a woman writing this. I
Nice.
just wouldn't know. I mean, I don't know how I would find out. Anyway, point is that I assume the doctor is, that the injured
We
person is you ever heard that
Yes,
line?
yes, yes. It's
The
in Ted
doctor's
Lasso.
a
Yeah.
man, right? Just how
Yeah, right.
shitty. That's how
Right.
that's how shitty I am of an ally.
We should
Um,
we should reach out to R199 on Substack and
yes,
invite them on the podcast.
we should definitely do that. I will definitely send them this podcast and find out. Okay, at any rate, um, uh, so everything there really fits within the framework of manifestation that we've already, that we know to be true from practice, from Dispenza, from Hicks, from Abraham, from that
Yeah.
world of, you know, you sit with it, you feel it as if it had been, and it begins to show up in reality. The thing about how quickly the analytical mind comes in to assess and, in my experience, shit on
Mm,
the uh, intentional force they're talking about is
right.
a little bit surprising. But at least I can notice it now. And I think that's the important part that they're talking about, is that you've got to sit, you've got to practice, you've got to continue to practice. But that, I mean, we were talking about this pre-show about the example. of the Beastie Boys for me,
Mm-hmm.
in this is, is the balance of those two worlds of the tension between CEO and mindfulness is that, any artist is feels obligated to the intentional force to make the art. And we've all been in the presence of music that has been made to fill a commercial need.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, my punk rock aesthetic would think that that's, sell out bullshit. Don't, not interesting
Right, right.
inherently. Um, Visual art doesn't quite, anyway, I mean, I think about, the Medici's and that all art that we talk about from the Renaissance and all the classics were commercial, paid for. They all,
Sure.
you know, were someone paid those men to do that. Um, so
Well,
some payment
and that's
part.
overlapping. That's not causation. That's just,
Yeah, there's
that's
really nothing
just
to do with this.
two things
I was
happening at the same time.
right, but there's that world that, if you're going to make your art,
Yeah.
that's one thing.
Yeah.
But then, you know, how are you going to continue to make that? How are you going to get that out to the widest audience? How are you going to have what you say or what you create impact the world? All those things require a facility with the real world, with
Yeah.
not right though. You can't say the real world that way
Right.
because you're then it turns in then intentional. This is good. That's also, the default language separates objective from subjective, that my
Yeah.
intentional force is somehow less the real world
Right.
than what it
Right.
takes to go on tour,
Yeah.
make that music on tour.
Yeah.
How do you keep that? I'm just going to go back to my favorite people, the Grateful Dead, as, the shining example of it was all one.
Mm.
There was no, you know, separation between the creation
Mm.
and the um, implementation,
Right.
right? That's
Yeah. And
that their entire model was based on, look, if we ever made a good album, maybe we would be interested in preserving it, but mostly it's all bullshit. That where it happens is in creation,
mm,
and they just did all their shit on tour, and
right.
it was all the same. The fulfillment and the creation of it were all in the same modality. So interesting thing to explore there. The article, by the way, goes on very interestingly, I think, and we probably won't get to it here, but the different quality of the different wishes, the quality of the intentional force,
Mm.
I think is interesting too. I mean, maybe we'll get to it. We're getting to it now. Wishes that benefit only yourself without harming others tend to fulfill themselves.
Mm.
Wishes that harm only yourself, regardless of who else is effective, also tend to fulfill themselves. The universe, if we can use that word loosely, does not particularly protect you from yourself. So, in this
Mm.
school of thought,
Mm.
that if it's only about you, it's going to fulfill itself.
Mm.
Wishes aimed at harming others function differently. If the person you wish to harm carries more karmic weight than you, the force of that wish comes back to you. They're not touched. You are. If they carry less, both of you are damaged. There's no scenario in the tradition where wishing harm on others is profitable for the one doing the wishing. Wishes for another's genuine benefit without hidden costs benefit both the other person and you, especially you, and more than you'd expect. Wishes for things that are simply neutral and impossible, the sun rising in the west, a mule giving birth, the sky turning green, produce nothing. The system does not
Side.
acknowledge them, not because of arbitrary rules, but because they are not in contact with causality at all.
Yeah. The beginning, by the way, of this article does a good job of sort of creating the world of reality.
Yeah,
We don't have to go look at it, but
right.
just go
Um,
read it.
but anyway, so let's just so I particularly like the I ow, fucking leg cramp. Ow, motherfucker.
Hey,
Ooh,
ooh, we caught it on camera. Caught on
ooh,
camera in real time.
oh,
Just,
motherfucker.
just so you know, this is not, an
And
AI
we will
show.
not
This
edit.
is,
We do not.
that's right. We don't edit.
We don't edit. Why?
Keep it
Because leg
real.
cramps happen, man. So
Yeah,
who
man.
was I? What was happening here that I was manifesting a leg?
I, I do want to say that I think we have overtrained, in the world of like you get better at what you do
Yeah.
repeatedly. I think we're overtrained in the logical kind of cognition. And I think we're undertrained, in
Yes.
the in intentional force kind of cognition.
It's interesting, Chris, that you
Yeah.
say that because I mean, I talk about that all the time when I'm
Yeah.
selling,
Mhm.
meditation
Mhm.
to people.
Mhm.
When I'm talking to people about the benefit of it. And I got a lot of this from No Self, No Problem, which it's a fascinating book. It's a lot of neuroscience that was done with people where their right hemisphere and their left hemisphere were separated.
Mm.
And so the ability to see the impact of each hemisphere on a human being's life
Mm.
um, was studied, and it's super interesting. But the point is, I'm going to stop sharing here because I think we got this. Um, um, we downplay the significance. I mean, this happens with a lot of different expressions of this phenomenon, but we downplay the right brain's input. In the
Mm.
West, in our culture, particularly, and to whatever degree it's human, logic,
Yeah.
rationality,
Yeah.
reason, mind over matter tend to rule, tend to be the ideal,
Mhm.
tend to be the standard by which things are judged. Does it make
Mhm.
sense? Can
Mhm.
the left brain make sense of this situation? To the point where the left brain, so the left brain is the home of language. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, uh, the right brain is emotional, senses what's happening emotionally. The left brain has named the kind of consciousness that the right brain has because the left brain names everything.
Yeah.
And that's now the subconscious,
Right, right. Yeah,
just to assert
that's
dominance
right.
over
That's right. Bitch.
what's valid or what's not valid or what's important or what's not important. Oh, that's the
Oh God.
subconscious. That's
Yeah.
not anything. You pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, right? Um, I just think
That's so funny.
it's so funny, right? So, and I talk about this all the time that meditation isn't about losing rationality or reason or logic. It's about turning it down as the driver
Mm.
and turning up the volume on the other so that there's a balance between the two because
Yeah.
we're just so out of whack with what even now in this article, it's just shown up on this on in right now and exploring it, the degree to which rationality is ready to attack
Yeah.
and just fucking kill
Right. Right. Right.
that experience of this is happening. It's no, it's not. Where's the evidence? Which is, I mean, it's useful if it's harnessed and it's dangerous if it's not. I mean, it's
Mm.
useful because we've met and you've met there's definitely people we know have met that are like all right, like airy fairy, you know, it's all, they're just not connected to reality. There's people that are not connected to reality through an overemphasis on rationality too, but
Right.
you know, at the same time, we and I think there's great notation in the article that this is a practice. You will not get this by reading this.
Right.
This is a
Yeah.
practice, and you've been trained, and and to whatever degree we want to credit, the work that Kahneman brought to this conversation. Um, it's more than you were just trained in it as a human being, or even as a function of being a Westerner. It's biologically, you're biologically oriented, genetically imprinted to whatever degree to have system one thinking
Mm,
keep you alive.
mm.
You know,
Right.
that it's,
Right. That the fear presents as a fact.
yes,
Like you're like, oh, I'm going to get eaten, today. Like historically, go way back when System One thinking was about,
yeah,
preserving
staying
your
alive.
life.
And
Yeah.
that's right. It's become genetically imprinted
Yeah.
you could say that that's the logical, you know,
Yeah.
rational part of what's happening here. And but the life force of creativity, what we're calling, what they call intentional force in the article,
Yeah.
um, is also been, part and parcel of what it is to be human. It
Right.
reminds me of, or makes me think of a great Ethan Hawke riff, um, of he talks about the arts and how, the sort of
Mm,
the context is funding, like what, it's not a trade. It's not, it doesn't produce anything. If you're going to go be an
mm,
artist, what's the value of what you're creating?
mm.
What's
Interesting.
the ROI?
Right. Which is very logical
Yeah,
cognition.
it's that whole conversation. And he says,
Yeah.
yeah, look, there's a validity to that, except, in the moment that your father dies
Hmm.
and you're looking to find the words to
Yep.
express
Yep.
that, or you fall in love, or any of the myriad of places that human beings that are real for human beings, that is a real phenomena, and art is required in that situation, to communicate. Has anyone else ever felt like this? Am I alone? Am I here? What's this? That art is more than just decoration. It's more than just what's over your couch. you
Right.
know Although what's over your couch, there's if you, it would be unimaginable to have a reality with no art.
Yeah.
Um,
Right. Interesting. Yeah.
but so but you got to slow down
Yeah.
and think that through, and you've got to slow down enough to value it. So it's a different ramp off on this conversation around manifestation, but um, I think that's a really interesting thing to sit with, is slowing down and noticing the two kinds of thinking that are happening and turning one down, just intentionally giving voice to the other and noticing, I don't know, that thing where, like, you know, we know that it's, you know, it every step of writing it's How to Live a Grateful Life in a Fucked Up World has been some version of,
Mm,
I've talked about this before, that I have the experience that every time I bring my foot out to take a step forward, the universe puts the next step down in front of me.
mm, mm.
It's those forces aligning, that we're just giving. This is aligned action that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Aligned
Yep.
with what? Aligned with that intentional force. Is your
Right.
action aligned with that intentional force? And now when I talk about having the manifestation mindfulness portion or class or whatever, I've
Yeah.
got now what there is to talk about. Is to separate to distinguish those two worlds, not to eliminate them, but not to eliminate one, but so that you can see the two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that's what they're talking about, that regular mindfulness doesn't go far enough. And I can see the gap in my practice.
Hmm. Well, good for you.
Good for you.
That
I'll
was,
just,
that's great.
I,
Glad you could.
I don't remember. Oh my God, Peter something. Oh my God, I can't believe I don't know his name. He's a musician. He happens to live on Vashon.
Oh, wow.
He had um, a hit in the 80s that he lives off of. But he's a songwriter, singer-songwriter, delightful man, delightful. I don't know him personally, but I saw him when he played on the island. And he's got this, he shared this little joke with the audience that he and his friends, whenever someone name drops, they say, good for you. Like, like they know, they're like just on a level of notoriety, of fame that keeps them,
Yes.
I can't remember his name, but, um, you know,
Oh my God.
they're also familiar with, Eddie Vedder, who spends time on Vashon and things like that. And someone will say, well, we were having dinner and Eddie was there, and all their friends stop and go, good for you.
Good for you.
So Kale and I, it's good for you, each other all the time.
I'm going to do that when you drop Substack.
Substack, good for
Yeah.
you. You have a Substack? Good for
Oh, good
you.
for you. That is
Yeah.
amazing.
Peter Traeger, I want to say, but I don't know that that's right. Now I have to
Oh my
look
God.
that up.
Yes, you should do that when we're off air. Thanks,
I will.
everybody. This is probably a good place to put a pin in it, Aaron. Yes.
Yes.
I'll put the link to the article, to the Substack, in the show notes. You should definitely
Yes.
check that out. It's a great read. It's some really beautiful wording and way they talk
Peter
about
Droge. Peter Droge, that's his
Peter
name.
Droge. There you go. Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks everybody for being a part of these conversations. Like I really do believe that if there is another the world that we all envision, that we want to be a part of, that we want to live in, happens in the conversations that we have. And when you participate in these conversations with Aaron and I, it just, in my world, it just expands where this conversation lives. If you'd like to participate in these conversations at a deeper level, that is what the mastermind's for. The mastermind is really there for us to start to, sink our teeth into something that has a little bit more substance. This podcast is a place for you to hang out and listen and play. We'd love to have your participation in the
Oh,
mastermind
yes, we would. Great.
because
So
that's how this grows. Yeah.
reach out to us
That
anytime. If you're interested in mindfulness training, you can check out The Grateful Breath. We have a cohort starting on April 15th for how to live a grateful life in a fucked up world. That's coming up. That's also available. Check it out on thegratefulbreath.com.
awesome. All right, friends. See you
Don't
next
forget to
time. Thanks,
review
Aaron.
us.
Yeah, Aaron just said he wanted you to review us.
I
So
do. I did see
wherever
that.
you listen or watch, please do that. And namaste.
Namaste, motherfuckers.
All right. Peace out. Bye, everybody.